Thanks, Mary. Could we welcome Mary Rodgers and the new panel, and thank you.
Well, it's nearly good afternoon, but welcome everyone. It's great to have such a dedicated audience. Fair play for staying the whole time. I know the conversation's been brilliant, and it opens up so many doors across the world. And I love that US, Asia, Europe piece, although as a European we'll work on that. So, Fáilte go dtí on PorterShed. It's great to have you all here. If anyone wants a tour afterwards, by the way, just let a member of the team know. We'd be happy to show you around all of the buildings, and you can talk to any of the 67 companies and 300 people who base themselves here and grow their indigenous tech companies and then scale into out into other commercial spaces around Galway and the west of Ireland. So we're delighted to share our story and have you here today. But you know what's really interesting, and welcome to everyone on the panel, and it's such an easy segue because throughout the morning we keep hearing about agencies and support, and what we know for sure is from ideation to exit, Enterprise Ireland is with entrepreneurs, founders and companies every step of their journey. And I always think that EI is often underrated. You know, we don't realise it's not just the financial supports, it's the soft supports and the wraparound supports that they give to everybody. And so it's a privilege to have Cepta here this morning. So Cepta, I guess if we could maybe talk about your role in EI, how EI helps the companies, founders' mindset, look in international markets from the US to Asia and beyond, just the whole thing really.
Okay, well, we don't have all day. So look, I'm Cepta Duffy and I work with the Irish Government Agency Enterprise Ireland, and we're responsible for helping companies to develop and grow in international markets. I'm working in the high potential startup department with industrial and life sciences companies, so including my panel members here are all portfolio companies, along with our Aerogens and our Chanels and so on. So we work with companies in all different sectors and all different sizes. Our teams here in Ireland and our 39 international offices are one of the differentiators that we have. So they can help our clients to enter these new markets with their innovative solutions and services. We've got Jenna here from our local regional office in Galway, and we've got George who we've met earlier with some customers from Japan. So global agency, doing global work, and our own local offices as well. So we have a unique ecosystem here in Galway that we are all proud of in MedTech and healthcare, and that's been built around the tremendous capabilities we have in research and the unique collaborations that we have with companies, with the research centres, with the clinicians, with the government agencies. And we want to continue to build on that with projects like Disruptive Technology Innovation Funds and so on. So look, we continue and will continue with our new strategy coming out next year on supporting and prioritising high potential startups like the guys here. So last year we invested 24 million euros in 156 early stage companies via our pre-seed start fund, which is typically a 100k convertible loan note to get companies out of the blocks, to get a founder maybe thinking of leaving a multinational or whatever it might be, to jump out of the Monday to Friday job to the 24/7, 365 days of the year job, so that to get you started. And then we have the high potential startup investments. And so that's our direct investments, but we also indirectly invest via our seed and venture capital fund, which seeds the VCs nationally. And there's been a recent announcement of a 250 million fund just about to open, and applications will be in the next few weeks. But the point there are back to the 156. Just over 30 of them are in our MedTech and healthcare digital tech space. So we it's a big part of what we do. So you mentioned founders' mindset. So look, we're looking for people with a good idea, and they need to be passionate about that good idea that they have. And then we will help them with building their team, looking at the market, using our international colleagues. There's over 200 in those people in those offices dedicated to helping our clients and helping them to validate the market, look at the regulatory and the clinical hurdles, because all of the markets are different. So, and then, of course, all of this takes cash and finance, and that's the other part that we help with, getting people in front of the right investors. So.
Brilliant, yeah, thanks so much. And I think we've all dealt with Enterprise Ireland at different stages for companies and for ourselves, and it would be remiss of me not to say that you're standing in an Enterprise Ireland funded building, so 80% through the Red F, so thanks to EI for that too. So Michael, I'll turn to you and to Tympany. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Tympany, and your internationalisation?
Plan. Yeah, so my name is Michael Gilmore. I'm an engineer, been working in the medical device industry for about 25 years. I joined Tympany, so I'm not one of the founders, neither of the founders could make it today. So the company was founded out of BioInnovate in Galway, that medical device, that program. Elizabeth McGloughlin and Rory Kelleher are the two founders. I joined about a year ago in the role of COO. They have a platform technology for rigid endoscopy. It's a new generation of technology. So they're utilizing the latest imaging sensors in a rigid endoscope, very minimally small, with all the functions built into the device that the surgeon needs to perform the best operations most efficiently. I joined it because I thought it was very interesting. I felt that it's a platform. People speak about platforms, but this is a platform that can have multiple indications and different surgical indications. But you need to find one that suits you to start and that you can do very well. So they're starting in the sinus surgery. The team is about 12 or 13 people. It's an unusual one to set up in Galway because we really don't have a very big electronics engineering group here. But it's funny, as the company's grown, we have brought in some very good people in that space, but we're utilizing a lot of European partners in the development. So our supply chain is going to be pretty much a European supply chain for this product, which we're kind of proud of, and we think it'll be sustainable and scalable long term. Our strategy is to go to the US first, and it's a bit like Michael Galway said earlier on. I think all of us just take MDR and go, sorry about that now, Europe is not a market for us. It's unfortunate. I started in this industry when Europe was the first market. And the reason that my first startup that I worked in, which is Cabela Medical Devices, was set up here was because of the access to that market, right? So it's totally flipped. So for us, it's a US strategy. It's a 510K strategy. And then after that, we will have our plans to have product in market late 2026, early 27. After that, it'll be probably UK or into Asia next. That'll be our plan, I think.
And you're currently working with Johns Hopkins?
Yes. So our number of lead physicians that are helping us in the development, and Johns Hopkins is the primary one, yeah. And the reason for that is that we think the waterfall is simple enough. Johns Hopkins is one of these teaching hospitals, so they have the fellowship. There's probably 30 or 40 fellowships in the US. They're one of the leading ones, and we think you start high and you work your way down, basically. So, yeah. So it's important.
Thanks very much. I'll turn to you, Kevin, and if you could tell us a little bit about Ostoform and your internationalisation.
Yeah. We've developed at Ostoform a medical device, Class 1 medical device, to improve the lives of ostomy patients. So people with an ostomy bag or if you use a stoma. If you can imagine putting a plaster on your hand and then washing your hand, the plaster tends to come off. And when people who use ostomy bags wear the bag, the adhesive is often exposed to the corrosive and fluidic output from the ostomy. And when it flows into the bag, it tends to leak and go into the adhesive, just like that in a plaster or hydrocolloid. And when that happens, when the adhesive absorbs the corrosive output from the stoma, the adhesive breaks down, and when the adhesive breaks down, the corrosive output contacts the skin. So we figured out a way to introduce a non-absorbent piece which directs the flow of the corrosive output away from the skin and into the pouch so that the adhesive doesn't break down. And that means that the patient can wear the device for longer, means that the skin is protected for longer, so the patient gets healthy skin and improves their quality of life. So the technology we call Flow Assist, and it comes first of all in a seal. So we have the Flow Assist seal, which is a ring that is worn around the ostomy. And the Flow Assist seal has been commercialized first. I hear a lot of it regulatory here. We are class 1, and that makes life a bit easier. We've been able to get it to market. So we're in market in, we looked at the US first, and we're in the US now, we're in the UK, and starting to expand to other markets. So we're Czech Republic, Holland, Denmark, Canada, and France, probably one or two others. So, yeah, it's starting to expand from here. We're expanding our product range as well. So we have this accessory product, the ring, the Flow Assist seal, and we've decided to take Flow Assist and put it directly into an ostomy pouch as well, because it gets the product to more people, more patients, but it also expands our market opportunity. So we're kind of moving from a $150 million to a $3 billion market. And it's a $3 billion market if we internationalize, so we are looking at other markets. To talk about where we make the product, the accessory is made in China. So we are in Asia and shipping from Asia. And then we have our pouch, which is made in Europe. And we were successful in the Disruptive Technology and Innovation Fund grant. So we're working on a new manufacturing method, which is a kind of a way to mold onto these hydrocolloid adhesives, and that's been done locally in Athlone, TUS Athlone. And I think as we look to expand, I think our manufacturing opportunities lie both in Ireland and in Asia, maybe as a mix, because we are finding that the standard of product being produced in Asia is fantastic in China. What we're doing there, we started off in Malaysia and then moved to China. It didn't really look back. It's making perfect sense. I mean, there's logistics and there's the cost of shipping, and that's another challenge. But tariffs might be another as well, or are another concern as well as an existing challenge. But overall, it's making sense.
Yeah, and that manufacturing across multiple continents, I mean, it's great for growth and keeping the research here. We love that, and DTIF appears to have been significant. You recently did a deal with Visinet, is it in the US?
We got on the Vizient group purchasing organisation. Yeah, that's a big deal for us because we're a startup and we're in the US, and going into the US, you're going up against 3 huge ostomy companies. Really, there's three very big ones, and so there's all these barriers to entry. They all have the ear of the nurse or the patient, and when it comes to getting into the hospitals will use, by habit even, the products to which the ear of the manufacturer, the competitor. So one of the ways around that is to get on these group purchasing organisations where you can get the product into hospitals without having to get onto special order systems or formularies. It means that there's a kind of route for the nurse to order the product without having to go through a lot of the admin. That happened this year. It's starting in December this year.
Brilliant. Well done on that. That's a huge deal. And turning to you, Simon, and Bluedrop, same question, I guess. Tell us a little bit about yourself and Bluedrop and where you are on your growth.
Yeah, so I'm co-founder and chief operating officer of Bluedrop Medical. We are developing, or have developed, a product to prevent people developing diabetic foot ulcers. So it's a very common side effect of diabetes. 25% of people with diabetes will go on to develop a foot ulcer at some point, typically because they develop neuropathy where they can't feel their feet anymore. And across Europe and US every year, there's 3 million of these diabetic foot ulcers and approximately 40 billion in costs. And unfortunately, that leads to about 250,000 amputations per year. That's kind of the end stage for, unfortunately, a lot of patients if it's detected very late. So what we've developed is a remote monitoring connected health system. For the patient, it looks like weighing scales. They have it at their home or in their home. We've developed novel sensor technology that allows us to measure the temperature and capture images of the soles of the feet when they're taking their weight on this foot scanner. The scans are then sent to us where we do remote monitoring of them, and that's through a combination of a care team and then supplemented with algorithms to do that, which will obviously develop further over time as well. And if we spot something concerning in the data, we can then alert the patient and their physician to let them know something's starting to go wrong that you're unaware of, and that early intervention is the key to preventing and progressing further. They're quite straightforward to address if caught at the earliest point. Often it might be as simple as, without the sensation of pain, you can't, it's a natural feedback mechanism. So, if your feet were getting sore, you'd naturally stop working on them. If you can't feel that, you'll continue to do that. So often it's as simple as letting the patient know it's starting to go wrong, so don't take the dog for a walk for the next few days and just allow it to recuperate, and that can be sufficient for that. I echo what you were saying earlier, like we're it's an electronic product, there's imaging in it as well. There isn't quite as much experience of that in the Galway ecosystem currently, but it is growing as well. And then similarly to Ostoform, ours is a class 1 product, so it's very low risk for the patient. So we're FDA registered, and we're now deploying units into the US. Similar to the other speakers earlier with the complexity of NEOR, etc. The US is our go-to-market strategy. So we've some commercial pilots on the way now, and that's coupled with a clinical trial that's just kicking off as well at the moment. So once that trial completes and we have the data from it, then we'll turn our attention to the subsequent markets from it.
Now the clinical trials and the shipments, are they to hospitals or to B2C or B?
The device itself is B2C, so when a patient is enrolled into the program, we ship directly from Galway to their home. But the overall service offering that we provide is a combination of direct to patient, but it's kind of an enterprise sale as well. So with the enormous cost of the issue, we're going to decision makers in health systems and saying, look at this outlier in terms of cost, that patient population. We have something that is going to be better for the patient, but also massively reduce the costs associated with insuring them or providing care for them. So then it's a sort of combined approach to both parties and obviously the doctor as well. So when I think forward about go-to-market into different geographies, it's going to be very important, I think, for us to do pilots, potentially through innovation centres or hospitals that are quite focused on that piloting new technology to understand what the differences are, culturally, but from the system point of view as well.
That's really interesting. I know that Signify Health are based here in Galway, and Kyle, when he came first to talk about moving to Galway, he said we want to break that cycle of cradle to grave where the hospitals own the patients for everything, and this whole remote patient monitoring, or the more you can do at home, is a better outcome for everybody, right? Reducing costs. So it's great to see all those innovations coming through. And talking about talent in Ireland and in Galway, and what Lawrence would talked about the different incentive programs, if we can do that to get more people over, right? We'll keep pushing on that START program. Back to you, Cepta. So it's great to see these innovative companies expanding internationally. Just a little more on the Enterprise Ireland international supports and our partners in the room, and your partners like with Jethro and the other agencies, because there's so much support in market, isn't there, between Asia, the US and everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, we have 39 international offices and more to come next year. So the supports, there's nothing better than having somebody on the ground, and our teams overseas, they can help you on the ground, knowledge webinars before you get over, introduce you to consultants. Like the markets are different in all, like if we take Asia, there's dispersed different regulatory issues in different places, different clinical requests and so on. So it's just all about gathering knowledge and building networks. And and John mentioned, taking the partner route, and that's something that we can help the companies with, trying to identify the right partners. Like you have to be able to work with them. They have to be knowledgeable in the space that you're in. And like from the three conversations there, all very different, all in the MedTech space and all very different. So there's a lot that we can do to help. And like everybody's going US first and so on, but that will change, I think. And these guys are going to conquer the US, I'm sure of it, and they need to move and look at the other. And like the Asian market is too big to ignore, and so on, and especially the Japanese market. I think there's a big, and as well as that, Singapore, we will be working very closely with them. So earlier in the year, we would have had the Minister for Health from Singapore here in Galway, met with Chris and some others, like from T-Pro, from the Southex, and really building that relationship. And they had some of their other hospital senior leaders with them. So, continuing to build that network, build the access to the hospital systems. In Enterprise Ireland, we have great links with US hospital systems like Northwell, and you've had them here. You've had Michael down here only a couple of months ago. Time flies. So we're building those same relationships over in Asia. None of them announced just yet, but we're working behind. We're working to get to the same level that we've had with Cleveland Clinic, Mayo, Texas Medical Center. So we're trying to do similar work in the Asian market. So there's lots happening. Definitely, if we're looking at these markets, come to us. Like there's 800 of us around the world. There's always going to be somebody able to help you. So come to us, ask the questions, and we'll try and find the answers.
Yeah, that's brilliant, and it's so true. Like a PorterShed delegation went to Japan earlier this year, and the message I got coming home was they're open for business. Like they want you to come, they want you to set up, they want you to engage, they want you to pilot, and they want you to grow. And that was amazing, where we thought they didn't need us, or if you know what I mean, but there's definitely, it's a mutually beneficial, and we talk about this with the US all the time, about the number of Irish companies, the employment in the US, and I think the tides are turning, and we're going to see those numbers for Asia too in time. And do you feel the importance of, that reach and frequency piece? Do you need to be present in Asia to get those deals done?
Look, I guess so. You have to be on the ground. You don't have to be there all day, every day. But it's the same in any market. In the US, you still have to be on the ground. They have to think that you're there. Like on the West Coast, we've got offices in Singapore, or Seattle, and say San Francisco, and the guys there will tell you, you have to make it look like you're here all the time. And like you can use our offices as your kind of place to work out of. We've got hot desks in them. We've got boardrooms. You can use them, and nobody knows it's not really yours.
No, that's so true. And what's brilliant is I think we forget, and we're not to go back on EI, but when you're in an Enterprise Ireland office and you invite a client in it's an endorsement of the Irish government, if you know what I mean. And suddenly they're like, well, if they respect you, then you must be doing a good job, right? So yeah, I would say definitely take avail of those services. So for Tympany, is Asia's on the cards, or what changes?
I don't think
for
we've
everyone,
really thought too far ahead. I think we're still struggling. It's a very broad field, right? So as I said, there's multiple indications. We focused on ENT, but even in ENT in the US, there's probably 5 or 6 different uses of these endoscopes, right? So you'd have just from the hospital, you go in to see your doctor, myologist, you check, simple consultation. He's using these devices, or she's using those devices, as it may be. All the way through to really complex skull-based procedures where you might have a 4-hour procedures, and the needs in each one of those are slightly different. So as a company, we've identified 2 areas we think we need to hit first, use cases, to prove the value of this technology to the physician and to the market. So I think that's where we're focused. We really haven't taken our heads out of that yet in terms of saying, what do we do after that? I think if we can prove that, then we can probably take our heads up a bit. But I suppose it's been always this traditional thing of, you say, Europe, and then the US has always been very close to us as kind of collaborating, and look, with all the American multinationals here, a lot of us worked in those companies, so we have friends and relationships across this sea. We really don't have that with the Asian market, right? So it's a new thing for us, I guess, in my generation. So maybe you're right. Maybe we have to be more proactive in going out there, building these relationships, and
yeah, I think
I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I know, and I think it seems so far away. And for us too, when we went at the beginning of the year, I'm like, oh, it's so far away. And then you get there, and the bullet trains are every 8 minutes, and you can go across the country in a day. And we talk about you can go across Ireland in a day, but you can go across Japan in a day. Like, it's amazing how accessible it actually is, and the openness.
Companies have done this and been very successful. So it's not like it's.
And now we have John and others who've laid the way and made those connections. So often it's about, we avoid it and we go to the closest, and we love the US, but it's also I think there's a huge opportunity in Asia. How about for you? Do you think what can we do in the room to help you guys get to Asia?
For us, one of the big things is product market fit. So when I look at what our product does, it extends the wear time of the pouch. And in the US, the patient has to pay 20% because they care about the cost of it. So the longer wear time is a great thing for them. In the UK, the NHS pays, so the patient's not so worried about longer wear time. But like I've learned in Japan, that the patient does have to pay quite a portion themselves, and they want to wear the product for as long as possible. And so you look at markets where that's the dynamic, and if taking Japan for an example, how are we going to find a distributor in Japan with our limited resources and already kind of spread pretty thin? And it's Enterprise Ireland, it's the support that Enterprise Ireland can offer in terms of building our network, setting up those meetings, helping us to find the right distributors. So it's certainly a huge help to have a resource like that as we look at how to build our distributor network. And I think there's the strategy that you hear, I think, most often from startups is you go to the US and you pick a chunk of it and you try to win in that portion of the US. And at the same time, for startups, I think the acquisition milestone has been pushed further and further along, so generating revenue is becoming all the more important. Find a partner who can understand the market well and build your sales and be your sales team in the market. And a lot of that does go to the bottom line, because you're not investing in the team yourself.
Yeah. And we're very lucky in Ireland with the collaborative nature between companies. So that whole don't go with that distributor, or these are the mistakes we made. So that sharing of knowledge is invaluable. So I guess it's just, again, like Cepta said, asking the question, and the answer is there. Like people, I think we're really good at not holding on to information anymore. We're definitely about your success being everyone's success, so that's good. And for Bluedrop?
Yeah, no, I think kind of similar to what Kevin was saying there, that like the EI support and network is a massive thing, but like events like this are huge as well. I'm just kind of thinking here to myself now that Asia seems so much more accessible even at the end of today, or just I now know people who've gone and done it, and also various different entities that we can go and speak to who have experience out there. So I think events like this are massive for just kind of that sort of push to open your eyes to it's doable, which can seem a little bit hard if you don't have that prior experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is the community. I just want to say, thank you so much for creating these new innovations, like those unmet clinical needs that we talked earlier about, the hope that brings to all of us. And as someone over 30, and they talked about the medical needs increasing as you age, this is really good news for me. And then John spoke about the WD-40 for the lungs, like what you're working on. And I think I just want you to know that the Asia Matters, Enterprise Ireland, PorterShed, ATU, University of Galway, we are your WD-40. So please reach out and use us. We want to help you. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks, Tom.